Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be diving in again.
So today we're looking at the very latest in artificial intelligence. And this is interesting. This deep dive, it's called AI Daily Deep Dive, was actually researched and, well, generated entirely by AI.
Really, that's a fascinating approach in itself, using AI to report on AI.
Exactly. So we're basically unpacking the top 5 AI news stories that the AI flagged for today, Monday, June 9th, 2025. Let's see what it found.
That sounds good. And looking at the topics, it's quite a mix showing the sheer breadth of AI's impact right now.
It really is. Okay, kicking us off, we've got some pretty big news coming out of Apple's WWDC.
Ah, yes, the developer conference. What's the scoop?
They've just unveiled AI-powered live translation, and it sounds like it's deeply baked into the new operating systems, iOS 26, iPadOS 26, watchOS.
Baked in how? Like system-wide?
Yeah, we're talking real-time translation during actual phone calls and in texts across core apps, messages, FaceTime.
That feels like a significant step, moving it from a separate app or feature into the fabric of communication.
Right.
And the key thing I saw mentioned is that it runs on device for privacy.
Exactly. That's a big part of their pitch, on-device processing. And apparently it even works when you're talking to people on, like, non-Apple phones.
Okay, so potentially lowering language barriers
Yeah.
in just everyday chats,
Yeah,
making it seamless.
pretty much. But here's where it gets really interesting, almost a bit contradictory. While Apple's launching all this Apple Intelligence stuff,
Uh-huh.
their own researchers just published a paper, and it seems to, well, pour a little cold water on current AI capability.
Oh, how so? What are they questioning?
Yeah.
Well, this paper specifically looks at the reasoning abilities of the big players. OpenAI's O3, Anthropic's Claude 3.7, Google's Gemini.
The latest generation models.
Exactly. And their sort of core argument is that the industry might be overstating how well these things can actually think or reason.
So Apple's own team is suggesting it might just be an illusion of reasoning. Is that fair?
That seems to be the gist, yeah. They found that, okay, the models are great on simple tasks, but when you give them these controllable puzzles, they get progressively harder.
They struggle.
They more than struggle. Or that citrus call it an accuracy collapse. It's like they just hit a fundamental wall, can't connect the dots, even when they have all the pieces.
An accuracy collapse. Wow.
Yeah. They even term it an overthinking phenomenon. And they suggest it points to maybe fundamental issues in the current AI architecture itself, not something you can just fix by making the models bigger.
That's quite a critique, especially coming from within Apple as they launch these features. Suggests real limits.
It's just a fascinating juxtaposition, isn't it?
Definitely. Okay, so moving from those really fundamental questions about AI's core abilities, let's switch gears to a place where it seems to be making huge practical strides, healthcare.
Right, and this one sounds genuinely groundbreaking. Some news out of Berlin.
Yeah, scientists there have developed an AI model. It's called CrossNN. And get this, it can apparently identify over 170 types of cancer.
Across all organs?
Across all organs, yeah. With accuracy often over 90%, and for some types, like brain tumors, hitting like 99.1%.
That's incredible accuracy. How does it work? What's it analyzing?
It looks at something called epigenetic characteristics. Think of them as unique molecular fingerprints on the DNA that get altered in tumor cells.
Ah, okay, so subtle patterns that the AI can pick up.
Exactly. And what's really exciting, particularly with things like brain tumors, is the potential to analyze these patterns in cerebrospinal fluid.
Instead of a tissue biopsy.
Right. Which, is way less invasive and risky.
That could be a total game changer for catching things earlier, more precisely. Real hope there.
Absolutely. Okay, shifting gears again, quite dramatically this time. AI isn't just impacting health, it's really shaking up whole industries. Advertising is definitely feeling it.
Oh yeah, the ad world is buzzing about AI. The core thing seems to be that AI is forcing a fundamental rethink of the whole business model.
How so?
Well, you see the big agencies like WPP investing heavily in AI tools. For everything, really automating creative tasks, personalizing campaigns on a massive scale.
But at the same time, you hear about significant job fears, right? Especially with platforms like Meta building tools that could let advertisers bypass agencies altogether.
Exactly. That's the tension. AI offers huge efficiency gains, automation. But then there's the question of human creativity, strategy, the big idea.
Can AI do that?
That's the debate.
Yeah.
Some industry leaders are saying, look, the workforce will change, some roles might go, but that core conceptual creativity, that remains human. AI helps with the execution. So the challenge for agencies now is proving their value beyond just the sort of manual execution parts that AI can do faster and cheaper.
So it's a real pivot needed then, focusing on strategy and high-level creativity.
Seems like it. It's less about fighting the tools and more about figuring out where humans add unique value alongside the tools.
Makes sense. Okay, and for our final story today, let's look at AI entering a really personal space: mental well-being.
Right. And this often brings up that question, can AI be a therapist?
Okay.
And the sources are pretty clear that the answer is, well, it's complicated.
It's not a simple yes or no.
Definitely not. The really crucial distinction everyone needs to understand is that AI is not a replacement for a qualified human therapist, especially not for complex conditions or severe mental illness.
Why not? What's missing?
Clinical therapy relies so much on deep healing connection, empathy, reading subtle cues, ethical judgment, things AI just doesn't have. It's not qualified to diagnose or provide actual clinical treatment.
Okay, so that boundary is clear. No replacement for clinical care. But is there any role for it?
Well, yes, if you frame it differently. Not as therapy, but maybe as mental health support, or a tool within a broader well-being strategy.
How would that work?
Users report finding it helpful for, say, identifying negative thought patterns or managing day-to-day anxiety. The AI can provide prompts, encourage reflection, maybe help reframe things, sort of like a guided journal or a coach for specific techniques.
Ah, okay. So more like a self-management tool or a way to practice certain skills.
Exactly. It can be a valuable support tool for certain things, for some people, but it's absolutely vital not to confuse that function with the depth, safety, and complexity of real human clinical therapy.
Understanding that line is key then.
Precisely. Leveraging the benefits while being very aware of the limitations, especially in such a sensitive area.
Okay, so wrapping this up, quite a journey today. We've seen AI aiming for, seamless global communication.
While simultaneously facing these really deep questions about its own fundamental reasoning abilities raised by its own creators.
Right. Then there's the incredible promise in medical diagnosis, potentially saving lives.
Juxtaposed with the disruption and, frankly, fear it's causing in industries like advertising, forcing a whole rethink.
And finally, we touched on its potential, carefully defined role in personal mental well-being support,
Highlighting that critical need for boundaries and realistic expectations.
It's just so clear AI is advancing incredibly fast, hitting so many different parts of our lives. But at the same time, these profound questions about what it can really do and where we humans fit in are getting louder.
Yeah, the capabilities are growing, but so is the scrutiny.
So I guess the thought to leave you with is, how does this mix this simultaneous rise of AI power and the critique of its limits? How does that change how you think about using technology in healthcare, at work, maybe even for your own well-being in the years ahead?
Definitely something worth mulling over.